You are watching the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, your escape to reality.
Hey everybody.
What's up?
Hey guys.
Friday
Happy
afternoon.
Friday.
That's
Here we
right.
are.
Friday.
I just happened to be here, and there you are. What a
How's
coincidence.
everyone?
Funny how that always happens. Good, man.
Not bad for a Friday.
It was a tough week.
Yeah? What was
Yeah.
tough about it? I know your
Lots of
wife's
tough
out of
week.
town.
My
Lots
wife
of-
is out of town on a job.
Yeah, my wife's out of town this week too, so Jay and I are both wifeless this week.
Whoa.
Yeah, we should definitely get together this weekend. You know, I was talking to Kernan. He designs all of our graphics, and he's an awesome guy.
Yeah, he's a
and he
great
was
guy.
telling me that we should do Ad Astra for Alpha Quadrant 6 because it was one of the worst science fiction movies he ever saw.
Oh, I love
Wow,
doing that. I love reviewing horrible science fiction movies.
Yeah,
Ad
we have a
Astra,
segment for the show, so we should do it. I just haven't had the time.
Science Theater.
Yeah.
Gosh, it wasn't Prometheus bad, was it? I didn't
He
think so.
actually uttered these words, and it made me get a little freaked out. He said, "It makes Prometheus look good."
No.
He said
Right.
it. He actually said that.
Oh man.
Astra?
A minus on the Prometheus scale.
Oh,
That's
definitely got to
low.
cue that up. Definitely got to cue that up.
That's low. Oh boy. Woo, tough crowd, tough customer.
So yeah, but anyway, you know, these weeks coming up before the election are goddamn brutal. They're brutal emotionally.
It's a slog.
It's a roller
Great.
coaster.
The
Slow
so much
crawl.
season.
The news, Bob, you're a little low. The news,
He's always
the
low.
news
He's only
items.
low at half.
Feeling mighty low.
Knew that was coming.
I've gotten to the point, like every time I
Yeah,
see a
right.
new article about some aspect, which, you know, there could be 1,000 different topics that the articles are about that you see. But every time I see one now, it's no longer intriguing. It's a smack to the face. I just, I can't take it anymore.
All right, well, let me pile on top of that, Jay. So let's do the COVID numbers. 37 million cases worldwide, over 1 million deaths. In the U.S., we have 7.8 million cases, over 110 million deaths, over 210,000 deaths, 210,000. The numbers are going up. Worldwide, new daily cases worldwide still going up. New cases in the U.S. You know, it was sort of going down a little bit. Now it's coming back up. Still always higher than the spring. You know, since July, the numbers in terms of new cases have been higher than what we had during the shutdown in the spring. The word is that so far it does not seem like schools are super spreaders, which is good. But again, the numbers are creeping up, so schools may be contributing to that. But I think they are trying really, really hard to minimize any spread from students, and I do think those efforts are worth it. They are bearing fruit. Of course, the big news in the last week was, we talked about it. It was just happening last week when we were doing the live stream that Trump was diagnosed with COVID-19. A lot of weird shit's happened about that. We talked about it a little bit on the show, which is coming out tomorrow. But one thing I don't think we talked about in depth was the monoclonal antibody cocktail that he received. This has been getting attention because Trump put out this video where it's almost like an infomercial for this drug. He's like saying this is a cure, trying to take credit for it, ridiculously, and putting pressure on the FDA to fast track it, which, is against the exact thing that people worry about, right? That drugs or vaccines or whatever will get approved on a political timeline rather than on a science timeline. So anyway, I thought I'd give a little bit of a background on this. So, first, Trump refers to the drug as Regeneron. Regeneron is the name of the company, not the name of the drug. The name of the drug is Regen Cove 2, R-E-G-N. I'm not sure if you're supposed to pronounce that Regen Cove 2. It's multiple monoclonal antibodies, so it's a monoclonal antibody cocktail. And by the way, Eli Lilly is also working on their own monoclonal antibody cocktail.
Wait, didn't he invent the cotton gin?
Yeah, right.
Eli
No,
Lilly,
yeah, no.
So
I love gin. No, I don't.
all right.
I love it when I throw Steve off, even for a millisecond.
Two tangents away from reality. So what is it? So it's, this is actually a very basic idea. You make antibodies that will attack the virus and help the sick person's immune system fight off the virus, right? It's pretty straightforward. It should help to some degree. It's not a cure. It's never going to be a quote unquote cure, but it is a treatment. So where are we with it? The Regeneron version is in phase 3 trials. They've pre-published some early results, what they call a descriptive report. So it's not data, it's not statistics, it's just a description of what's happening to the people, because they're trying to get an emergency use authorization from the FDA, and they're trying to get it out, compassionate use, before it gets all the way through the phase 3 trial. But it looks pretty promising. It's a good approach. It's similar to like the convalescent plasma, where you're giving patients antibodies so that it helps reduce the viral loads until they have a chance to mount their own response. So what the early data shows is that first of all, it's being given to people who are not hospitalized. These are people with mild COV-2 by definition, COVID-19, because they're not hospitalized. And it seems to reduce their symptoms, and it reduces their viral load. It works best in people who are not mounting their own immune response. If you're already making antibodies, then it's kind of redundant, and it doesn't seem to have as much of an effect. But until we look at hard clinical outcomes, statistically we won't know, and it hasn't been tested in people who are hospitalized. So again, it's designed for people who are the sickest, but it's not really being tested in those people. To put things into a little bit of context, the same kind of approach, a monoclonal antibody cocktail, was tried in Ebola a few years ago, and the initial observation was that this looks very promising, and then when the phase 3 trial came out, it was not effective, right? So you need that phase 3 statistical data. Until we get it, we really can't say, if it's going to work or not, and how much of an effect is it going to have. Hopefully, it'll be one more drug in our armamentarium. It'll help, reduce the severity of the disease. It'll help reduce the death rate further. But the other thing about this is, Trump has been touting it for widespread, production and availability. It will never be available widespread. The reason for that is monoclonal antibodies are hard to produce, and you need a massive infrastructure to do it. You can't just flip on a switch. It's not like a chemical drug, And so we only have so much capacity to make it. And even at best, it's going to be maybe, for the sickest patients. It'll be for a small percentage of people, that can get it. It's not going to be like give it to everybody. It's certainly not going to be like a vaccine where you're going to try to get everybody.
Right, not prophylactic.
Yeah. But we'll keep an eye out for that. Hopefully between Eli Lilly and Regeneron, one or both of them come online by the end of the year. And again, it's one more tool that we'll have to knock back this pandemic and hopefully reduce the duration of the illness, the death rate and the complications, etc. But yeah, it's kind of being prematurely sold and oversold, politically, unfortunately, which again just sort of poisons the well. Just leave the FDA alone. Leave the FDA alone. Let them do their job.
Yeah, and the other drug that Trump was, hydrochloroquine, never even got brought up. No one has said the word once
for his own illness. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He did not take it apparently.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
there's
Yeah,
that.
I'm assuming. But whatever. The data shows that hydrochloroquine doesn't work. So.
Which is probably why I didn't get it.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't they just say anyway that
spitballing here?
Wouldn't they just say that anyway? It's best to use that before you're even sick. Wouldn't that be their response?
I don't know. Whatever. They didn't say anything about it one way or the other.
Yeah, it hasn't been mentioned.
So, we're still in the middle of this first wave of the pandemic. And I think the experts are correct that we're not going to really see the end of this until we get a vaccine and it gets widely distributed. So probably end of 2021 is a reasonable projection.
Yeah.
That makes me really that's a punch to the gut for me because I haven't sent my kids back to school yet.
Yeah.
Well, partly because we have. Sorry, I have to change glasses. These are my computer glasses. These glasses.
They have the coating or the filters that take out.
Yeah, it makes my eyes. Yeah, it's good for your eyes.
Less tired. Yeah,
but
I
they're
do.
It's all one prescription. Like the other ones are, I hate to even say it, but they're progressive, which means that there's multiple prescriptions in there.
Mm-hmm.
These I can look anywhere, up and down, and everything's good.
I have those too, but they reflect too much of the light, and if I had them on, it would look like light beams coming out of my eyes. So I wear the non-protective ones for the show. But go ahead. Sorry, Jay.
So I, the homeschooling thing. Wow, it is rough. I mean, it is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Instead of like saying, you get up and have the kids out the door by 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you have until 4 o'clock. Where I live in my part of the world, that the kids come back at home around 4:15. I mean, they're here 24/7. They don't really have a way to blow off steam. You're trying to get them to sit in a seat in a room in their house, which, it's in their house. Mm-hmm. And it is emotionally, it's emotionally challenging for everybody because it's hard. I'm just saying it's hard, man.
Well, I mean, the good news is, there isn't a school, spike. So I think that whatever the schools are doing, generally speaking, it seems to be working reasonably well. Not that there aren't any cases, but there's no huge spike from schools, which is good. So as long as they keep this, keep doing what they're doing in terms of, reducing the density of students, social distancing, mandating masks, et cetera, hopefully keep it at a low level. Yeah.
So with what you just said, right?
Yeah.
So you're the idea here is that a legitimate vaccine won't come out until third or fourth quarter of 2021.
No, I mean, I think even if it comes out by the
widespread.
end of the year, it's going to take a long time to get widely distributed.
Get everyone on this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my point was that they were saying that it's going to be distributed to healthcare workers first, and it's going to roll out in the
Nursing home patients, high risk
in the
people.
order of necessity, which means that if you're young, middle-aged, those are the last people that are going to get it if you just have a regular job that isn't involved in healthcare.
Yeah, if you're low risk in terms of your medically low risk and job wise low risk, you'll be the last group to get it. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So
Boy,
it's going to
wonderful.
be, yeah, I guess I'm just trying to set my sights on what the future brings. And like,
Yeah.
it looks like next spring, unless I get a really strong indication that sending the kids to school is very safe, I'm going to be doing this
Yeah,
for
it's looking good so far, but yeah, you just got to keep an eye on it. So the other thing, science skeptical thing that sort of piqued my interest over the last week, I know you guys all watched the vice presidential debate on Wednesday. We actually watched
Yeah.
it right after we recorded the show. So we hadn't seen it when we were doing the show this week. But there was some climate change denial in there. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. It's all stuff that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pence said a few things that are worth noting. One, he said, the basic thing of, well, we know the climate is changing. We don't know why. We don't know what to do about it.
Oh my
which is,
gosh, that
which
is like
wrong and
decades
wrong.
old.
I know. I mean, that's like
argument.
the greatest hits, right? From greatest oldies from climate change now. It's like, yeah, no, we know what's causing it, and we actually know exactly what to do about it. I mean, it's really, there's no mystery here at all.
Right.
Well, but there is if you have an agenda.
Yeah, well, though, again,
Well-
it's the
Yeah.
fear, the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and denial, right? So you're just trying to muddy the waters, pretending like, oh, we don't really know what do we do? What could be possibly causing it? It's just ridiculous. It's also he did what is called the Mod and Bailly Fallacy. You guys remember that one?
Wait, what's
Ooh,
that?
boy, it's been a while. When did we last talk about that?
So Mod
Jesus.
and Bailey is a design of an old fort where you have a enclosed-in area, and then within the enclosed-in area you have more of a fortress, right? And so you
Like
have
a keep.
yeah, so you have the highly defended area,
Lair.
and then the partially defended area, and so you fight the enemy, in the partially defended area. But if you start to get pushed back, then you retreat to the
Oh, Helm's Deep, basically.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Helm's Deep. Yeah, but it's I
Okay.
don't think that's technically a Mott and Bailey design, but yeah, but similar.
Well,
you have a
that's
layered
how
defense.
That's how it played out.
And so what some deniers do is they will defend the most outrageous position, right?
Yeah.
Like the climate's not changing, and then when you give if they get into like incontrovertible evidence that that's the case, they'll say, okay, well, they'll retreat to their Bailey, right? They'll retreat to, okay, well, maybe it's changing, but we don't know why.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as soon as they
that like
feel
moving
like
the
they
goalpost?
can, they will rush back out into the Mott, right? So they will say,
No.
oh yeah, so the climate is changing, but we don't know why. But then he said, when Harris brought up hurricanes, he said there's the same number of hurricanes now as there were 100
Yep.
years ago. Did you catch that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's a straw man, though, isn't it?
it's also a straw man. But it also is kind of denying that anything's happening, right? He's again, even though he said that, well, the climate is changing, but no, it isn't changing because it's the same as it was 100 years ago. So the fact is that no, it's a straw man, as Bob says, because scientists are not claiming that
Right.
global warming increases the number of hurricanes.
Severity.
It increases the power and the rainfall and the deadliness of hurricanes. They tend to sit longer, dump more
More
water,
intense.
cause more flooding. Yeah, they have
Yep.
more energy because they get the energy from the heat of the ocean,
Right.
but not the number. And then actually I did look it up just to see if it was literally true. And there have actually been 6 hurricanes this year in the North Atlantic. There were only 4 in 1920. And if you look at the map, it looks like there are more hurricanes, but I don't know if it's statistically true, but it is sort of look like it's trending in that direction. But even if we give that up, it's like, doesn't matter. It's the intensity and the deadliness that's increasing. But see how, I love examples of people lying with facts. They're telling the truth, but they're still lying.
Welcome to politics.
Yeah, he gives it in. Yeah, right. He gives in. That's how you know you're dealing with a smooth denialist or a smooth politician, is that they're lying with true facts. He created a false impression without ever saying it. But he did say, that the climate change alarmists are talking about hurricanes when we have the same number of hurricanes as we did 100 years ago. So, he is connecting those dots, but he is creating more of an implication than directly saying, Because I don't think he knows. He's just repeating a fossil fuel industry talking point.
Right.
At this point, though, I don't
Old
even
tropes.
get why.
Yeah, it's a trope. It's an old trope.
What does it matter? Like, why are they anti-global warming? Like, who benefits from denying global warming?
The fossil fuel
Coal industry,
Coal
fossil fuel
yeah.
industry, all the energy, all the fracking, all of it.
Right. And then politically, he was totally catering to all of those swing states that have fracking and coal mining.
Absolutely.
Right? So there's a huge political angle to it as well.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. And
Well, there's coal-fired plants. I looked at a map of the world that showed every coal-fired plant because of the we talked about it on this coming show that it's coming out tomorrow. I mean, they're everywhere.
yeah.
They're everywhere.
But the number of coal-fired plants in the United States is decreasing. The amount of energy we're producing with coal is significantly decreasing. It's down by half or more. So he also said that the United States is producing less CO2 than it was, but he was trying to take credit for it. So again, I had to look that up. I'm like, okay, so what's really going on with that? Because I know that CO2 varies largely by the economy and also by the climate. The colder a winter you get, the more CO2 release. If you have a mild winter, then CO2 release goes down because we don't have to burn as much energy to warm houses, to heat houses.
Things, yeah.
So this is what's going on. So since 2005, between 2005 and 2018, there's been a steady decrease in the amount of CO2 being released in the United States. And so that's been a fairly continuous. Well, there's a lot of variation on that trend because of weather and economic factors. But if you sort of average it out, yeah, there's actually a pretty steady decrease. So again, you're kind of taking credit for this trend that's been going on for 15 years, and that's caused by a lot of that is caused by shifting from coal to natural gas. That is absolutely true. That's one of the things that both parties misrepresent, right? Because the Democrats don't want to say that there's anything positive about any fossil fuel. They, you know what I mean? Like some do. Like Yang ironically was the only energy realist in my experience running this year.
Interesting.
Because he's actually a scientist or a mathematician at least. But in any case, because the Democrats don't know that their base doesn't like fossil fuels, so they don't want to say that there's anything good about natural gas. And natural gas is definitely a stopgap measure. It's not the perfect solution. You have to also count methane. So if you just look at CO2, you're going to miss methane, which is actually the bigger problem with natural gas. But if going from coal to natural gas is a good thing, it reduces the environmental impact of the energy. So even though it's not as good as going to renewables or going to nuclear, it's better than burning coal. I do think we have to get off coal as fast as possible. And if that means using natural gas as a way station, that's fine.
But why? Are we appeasing people by using
gas
as a way station?
Because they're fast and cheap to build, and they are on demand. They're one of the most on-demand sources of energy. So it's just in terms of like if we map out, again, I think this gets back to the thing that drives me nuts also about the whole energy thing. You have the experts who are saying we need to map out a path to decarbonize our energy infrastructure. We need to map out the path that most quickly reduces CO2, right, on the way to zero. And that path goes through natural gas. That's just the way it is.
Okay.
But the Republicans will say that, but like Pence did, like natural gas is great. But what he doesn't say is that it's only good because it's better than coal. And it's only good because coal is tanking, is going away. But they don't want to say that because they're hoping for those coal miner votes, right? The West Virginia, those votes.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. So they don't want to. So they're ignoring the fact that it's displacing coal, and the Democrats are ignoring the fact that it's a way station on the way to renewables. And so it's interesting. So neither party really tells the full story. They both sort of cherry pick the part of it that they want. One side will say what's good about it, but ignore the fact that it's displacing coal. The other side will say what's bad about it without saying Well, at least it's better than coal, right? I mean, the bottom
Right.
line is, though, the only thing good about it is that it's better than coal, which is
So
not saying much. But it is the most rapid way to dramatically decrease our CO2 production. So, all right, fine, build some natural gas plants to displace coal as quickly as possible while we're ramping up nuclear, while we're ramping up renewables, while we're figuring out what to do with grid storage. So for like 10 years or 15 years or so, if your goal is by 2050 to be at net zero, yeah, you can have 20 years of natural gas plants. That's fine. And if it turns out it takes longer, okay, at least that's better than going back to coal. Because countries that have tried to leapfrog to just full renewables, like Germany, ended up building coal-fired plants because they couldn't do it.
Well, yeah, because we don't have the battery technology. We
Yeah.
don't have the energy storage yet.
That's why you got to map the path. It's not
Right.
just do what And the thing is, if you let the industry isn't really mapping a path either. They're just following the money. So right now, they're going to do what's cheapest. What's cheapest right now is to build renewable. Is the cheapest. So that's what they're doing, which is great.
Yeah.
But that's only going to be cheap for a while. The thing is, here's the problem. Here's the big problem. This is my concern. They're going to build renewables for the next 20 years until they run up against that ceiling of renewables, where you need massive
grab more power.
Well, you need massive overproduction in order to produce. Getting at is renewables intermittent. It's not on demand. And then at that point they go, oh yeah, now we really need some base load, right? We should have been building those nuclear plants 20 years ago, right?
Right.
But if you don't do that, they won't be coming online right when we need them, when we're hitting that ceiling with renewables. And so what's going to happen? They're going to fucking build fossil fuel, plants.
Right.
Yep.
Because they're going to
Back
have no
to-
other choice. That's what Germany did. That's probably what's going to happen. So if you don't plan out
Terrible.
the path, if you just do what's in the immediate short-term interest, then
You're
we end
long-term
up
screwed.
we need a strategy. We need a strategy. And the thing is, the experts have mapped out the strategy, many strategies. It's not like there's one path. There's multiple viable, reasonable paths. We could talk about which ones are best and hedge our bets a little bit.
So it takes 42 months
Yeah.
to build. This is a rough number, but around
Yeah.
42 months to build a nuclear power plant.
It could take a lot longer than that though, with the red tape.
Yeah.
It could
So
take-
five
take
years,
10,
6
15 years.
7
Oh,
years.
I've heard 10 or more. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But here's
that
the
is
other
just-
thing: the nuclear industry. That's for like old timey giant nuclear power plants.
Right, which we're kind of moving away from.
Which we're moving away from. We're going to small modular plants, which are
Yeah.
faster to build, lower upfront investment,
Less waste.
more nimble, all that stuff. Then the Gen 4 is about not only producing less waste, but burning the waste of older reactors.
Using the waste, right? Yeah. So it's not really waste.
So that's really what they need to do, is build small modular Gen 4 reactors, which will take 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
While we phase out coal by going to natural gas, build up as much renewables as we can, and figure out the grid storage, because that's going to save us in the end. And then, who knows? So in 30 years, by 2050, when they want to be at net zero carbon, I don't know what the percentage of everything is going to be. Nobody knows, but we're going to be doing everything we can to get there. And also, we don't want to be high CO2 and then rapidly decrease. We want to decrease CO2 as quickly as we can on the way to zero, because it's all about our carbon budget, right? We gotta reduce the amount of CO2 that we release.
Yep.
As quickly as possible. But anyway, I always get frustrated listening to politicians, because you never hear that, right? The Democrats
Oh
are
my
never going to
gosh.
say go
Anything
nuclear.
that cogent? Come
Yeah,
on.
no, I mean, it's neither
Yeah,
side.
Why the
don't
hell
know.
does it have to be such sound bites and everything? Like, what? I don't understand why they don't, as the president, right? Whoever the president happens to be,
Yeah,
that is a profound platform. We've had a lot of intelligent people in the office in the past. Wouldn't it be great if they just had an exchange of information? Let me explain to you about nuclear power plants. Let me explain to you about renewable energy. 2 hours a month of information. And I know that sounds a little bit like the government telling you what to think and what to feel, but with the right people in place, that information could be extraordinarily valuable.
the thing is,
Sure.
the Democrats say listen to the science, but and they do, orders of magnitude more than the Republicans. I'm just going to say that that's the truth. There's no equivalency there. They are much more the party of science than the Republicans are in the United States, but not perfectly. They don't listen to the science when it comes to GMOs, and they don't listen to the science when it comes to nuclear. At the extreme left, like Bernie Sanders, his energy plan was to immediately shut down all of our nuclear power plants. Can you imagine the disaster that would have been?
Wow.
If he did that? That would have been a Germany-level disaster or worse, far worse. It would have been like, we would have ended up building coal plants. I mean, or had.
But
like,
what's the next step? Like, so he said that, but you can't say that without saying, because we're going to use blah in its place.
Well,
like,
renewables, but again, that's the renewable delusion, is that it's ready to go now. It isn't, because we don't have grid storage. So,
yeah, but he doesn't know that. Oh my God!
Again, he's not listening to the experts. If the experts in the field say, you need to take a systems approach. You need to look at how everything is going to work together, how the grid is going to work. You know what I mean? How we're going to not only produce enough energy, but manage the load and demand and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the Republicans are just denying that it's a problem. They just want to burn through all of our fossil fuel, which is ridiculous. And the Democrats are most of the way there. They just have to get over their historic opposition to nuclear and just say, all right, just hit the reset button. What do the scientists say are the viable, actual practical paths to the most quickest path to decarbonizing our energy infrastructure? I just would love to hear a politician. Again, the only one who said that is Andrew Yang, who I didn't think was ready to be president, but just got to give him credit where credit is due. He's the only one who said, this is it. This is what we got to do. And it was correct as far as he went that I heard.
So Steve, what, and the rest of you guys, did you read the news about MIT's fusion reactor and the fact that they're like making like legit progress with it? Like it's getting to the point now, it's starting to shift now where we're seeing they're not saying maybe, and we've got a lot of things like the MIT reactor, they have it mapped out. Like they're just building this thing to the point where they're ready. They think it's actually going to work with the path that they're on right now, which is very encouraging. I mean, look, it's a big deal, but it is the maximum game changer that we could ever have with all of these issues. I mean, imagine if we,
it remains to be seen. I mean, yes, we are attracted to the sexy high-tech solution and the idea of fusion producing a massive amounts of carbon-free energy is certainly very, very sexy. But it all comes down to all the practical matters. How quickly can we build fusion plants? How safe are they to operate? How much will the electricity cost? You know what I mean? What are the practical matters of how it's going to integrate with the grid? And we're still decades away probably from practical fusion, even if we are making these proof of concept breakthroughs. I think we should absolutely work on it. It may get to the point by the time, I know Bob hates to hear this, by the time fusion is practical, we may have renewable and grid storage that does it, and we don't really need to bother. Maybe fusion will be better for Mars or the moon than for Earth. That's the
Bob, Steve just dismissed our dream.
I'm just saying,
it's not impossible.
How
I think
technology gets implemented,
at least a niche application for it,
has as much or more to do with things like scalability and with cost than the science. You know what I mean? So we can't, and those are the hard things for us to predict. Even if we know this will work, we're making progress, we'll probably eventually be able to actually do a fusion reactor that makes more energy than it consumes. The business end of things are the things that are hard to predict, and that may kill it. I'm just saying, and we know that, and the experts are saying that it may never be practical as like a major contributor to our energy infrastructure. Or maybe it will be. Maybe it will displace fission and all the other, base load, and we'll have an infrastructure that's half fusion and half renewables and grid storage.
There's
I don't
still
know.
plenty
I don't
of
know. We don't know what this grid's going to look like in 50 years.
it's hard to say, but say just nuclear. I mean, fusion engines. Nuclear thermal engines powered by fusion reactors. That's clearly going. That will eventually be a thing.
Yeah. Maybe
that's
there'll be
gonna
spaceships, Bob. That will power our starships.
Right. Yes. So
Talked about
I'm
that,
looking
yeah.
forward to that. So,
Right.
all right, I want to do a segue here.
All right, go ahead.
I found something in the basement. Now, you guys remember where did they do this? Where you would go like to a circus or a fair, and there'd be a guy who would do a caricature
Yes.
of kids. Your head, give you a big head and a little body doing something that you enjoy. So this is really old. This is me, Steve, and Jay. So I want the audience to tell me who it is.
I think it's obvious, right?
Jay, Steve, come on. If we learned anything, it's
All right,
it's
all
obvious
right.
to us, but not everybody else.
Just
All right,
yeah,
so who is this?
don't shout it out. I don't know. It's so obvious to me.
I
I'm-
know. Jay. All right.
Playing piano?
Go ahead.
Is that a clue?
All right, now who is this? Nope.
Oh.
Because we knew each other at that age, you know.
Yeah.
Right. And who's that?
Right.
You might be right, Jay. This may be more obvious than the pictures that most people seem to have trouble with when we were really young. But
So that was
so now the names don't mean anything because
Yeah, it's all a mishmash. I know.
well, it was
so
in
the-
order. In order, it was Steve J.
Steve,
Bob.
yeah, Steve
Yeah.
piano, Jay. What were you doing, Jay?
I was riding a
Riding a bike.
motorcycle.
Jay riding a bike, me doing karate. So it's just so funny to come across those pictures again.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
a reason why they're in the basement.
were those from Disney World?
No, the other ones were from Disney World. We have other
Okay.
caricatures.
Yeah,
Those
I don't
are some.
remember.
We'll pull them out maybe later.
Oh my God.
That's
You got
funny.
any old black and white Western photos too?
We do. We got some of those.
Yeah, of
hanging
course
there.
you do.
Yeah. We got some of those more like from high school, college age. you
Yeah.
know.
Those are always fun. I
Those
mean,
are
you
fun.
look back on it now, it's fun.
We'll
There
do
was a
that next
picture.
week. Next week we'll do old pictures of ourselves.
Oh gosh.
Bob found a picture
Oh.
of me, Steve, and Bob at the Danbury Fair. Like
Wow.
it's a real picture. It's not a drawing.
Before it was a mall.
And
Yeah.
oh my God,
You have it, Jay?
I don't have it. I know you have it, but
It's
I
at
think
your
I might
house,
have taken
Bob.
a picture of it.
Were you
But that was
firing an arrow or lighting something on fire?
No.
I mean, talk about like I like seeing pictures of me when I'm young, and I clearly am under zero stress. That is
Right,
such a
I got
that
it,
is
Jay.
such a fantasy. Let's see. Oh my God.
Whoa.
So that's
Also, Steve J. Bob.
Whew. Here's
yeah,
a
also,
story
Steve
of
J.
an
Bob.
Brady.
I'm on Jay's left. Look at our hair. What the hell?
Oh my 70s.
That was very 70s.
Woo.
Yeah.
Somebody asked where Kara is. So Kara has school requirements that are keeping her from being able to make it to all of these live streams. She said she'd come when she can.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I would like Bob to quickly explain why there is an arch. What would you call that? Arch, Bob? What are you calling that?
Arch.
An arch of pumpkins behind you. What's that?
All right. Today I didn't work. I took the day off and I spent
for
all
you.
day. I spent all day on my pumpkin arch. This is going to be at the entrance of the haunted forest pro haunt that we're doing. It's opening next week. So this is the entranceway. So I bought all these pumpkins. This one I've had for years, but I bought all of these. I carved these two and I carved those two, and I just cut the wood and attached it, and it took me all day. But I'm really happy with it. Let me give you let me show you what it could do.
What it can do.
Too bright.
It does things.
So,
Hey.
That's gonna look great at night, Bob. You
Yeah.
definitely need sound. You have to have creepy sound coming out of the pumpkins.
Creepy
mean-
sound.
Creepy sound. Huh?
Yes. Don't even give me that. I mean, you got to do it. When people walk under that, they'll hear that the sound is coming from the pumpkins, and that'll be really cool.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. But what kind of sounds?
Creepy
I don't know,
music,
screaming,
Dripping
moaning.
blood sound.
Yeah.
cackling.
But
I happen to know someone that could make you a sound for that, in case you're interested.
Yeah. So yeah, I was told that it needed to be kind of family friendly because, because this is actually outside, right across from like a play yard at a school. So it couldn't be evil because these kids would be looking at it like every day. So that's why they're kind of smiling. If I'm going to make one for my house at some point in the future, and it's going to be bigger and a lot creepier. But,
Bob, so
it
do you
came out well.
you think we could do like a walkthrough of the haunt for everyone?
Yeah, we talked
Live
about
stream?
that last week.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but he's got to arrange it.
Yeah, we gotta talk about technically. I forgot about that. We gotta talk about, let's do a test run, and see how it works. So see
Ian
how
will
it
snap
goes.
his fingers. It'll work like magic.
I mean, we could just walk through literally with an iPhone that has a
Right.
good connection, and it'll be fine.
Got good service. You'll be all right.
Yeah, we got to just think about what time of day we'd want to do it because the low light situation probably wouldn't be good.
I mean, we got Kara in Ireland on a 56.6 baud or something. She was able to stream.
Yeah. All right, Evan, let's click over to. I've been looking at this thing over your left-hand shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm seeing flats and sharps, right? It's not fish, right? It's not okay. I was just checking because it also, from my perspective, looks like a fish. So why don't you ask us what's going on here?
Well, we can ask the audience because a lot of them got this one right. This is apparently if you're a musician or if you're German, you have a distinct advantage on this particular one. I was looking up on some websites about codes within music and came across some interesting things. And one thing I came across was something called the Bach motive. So what musicians apparently will do sort of as a tip of the hat or a nod or an acknowledgement to composers who have influenced them is they'll try to spell out a name or a phrase or something using musical notes as the hat tip. So these letters, this is a B, and then you have an A, and then a C, and then a B sharp. So B, A, C, B sharp. Replace the B sharp in German, they call it the H. So it's B-A-C-H. So this is the Bach motive, B-A-C-H. And it's apparently, not so much a code per se, but just a cute little thing that they throw into musical compositions. I have no musical talents. I don't read music.
Oh, you can't sing it for us?
I know nothing
Isn't that
about
a B
it.
natural though? Isn't that a B natural?
B natural is the first one.
No, it's B flat, the first one.
B flat, the first
Sign
one.
in front of the last one, isn't it?
It's B. It's B.
Or am I looking at it wrong?
Well, it's the B with the note, right? And then the one that's the H is the sharp indicator on the B line. So forgive me for, again, my musical ignorance. I do not read music and I'm not a musician.
It's a people in the chat. I'm sorry to contradict you, but people in the chat are saying that it's a natural symbol. not a
Natural
sharp.
symbol. Okay. All right.
That would be enharmonic
Natural.
with C.
So if you guys want
sharp
to hear
to
what
me.
it sounds like,
Yeah.
Sure. You got it?
it goes bum 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 bum. That's it.
Yeah.
When I heard it, if you go to Wikipedia for this and you could play the little box and it'll give you the sample. It reminded me of, the piano in Eyes Wide Shut, kind of almost, it gave me that
creepy.
sort of
Yeah.
vibe to it.
Oh, Evan, you brought up this. What you just did was remind me of an amazing conversation I had with George Robb about how a series of notes can make you feel something, like, and how few notes can you use to solicit an emotion. And this was quite a while ago. So we were talking about
Illicit, right? Sorry.
we were talking about the idea, like there's certain feelings that you can get from music and they can be specific. Like you could get a feeling from music, like it's a spy thriller, just from music, right? Because we've been trained throughout the years and with, music that we absorb through movies and TV and everything. Like there are things that become, like the James Bond music as an example. Well, for anyone who's seen the movies, you're always going to associate that with like the tone of the movie. But you can reduce a lot of these things that we've learned. What would you call them? They're I mean, I guess they're just cultural indicators. You know what I mean? Like things that are common in world culture that, you know, most world culture, maybe like English speaking world culture at the very least. So I think it's really cool. Like those 4 notes definitely had a little bit of a creepy sound to them.
Right. I felt the same way, Jay.
And I wonder, like, you know, how many more notes would it take to make it intensely more creepy? You know, like there's a really cool idea there about how, you know, those emotions can be drawn out of music that way.
Mm-hmm.
It can be very powerful.
Even a single note can be powerful.
Well, but a single note would be powerful solely by what it's surrounded by, I would say, and what its timbre is, and you know, without it having a relationship to other notes. You know, I think it comes down to how it sounds and not the note itself.
So, by the way, quick follow-up. So I was challenged in the chat on my characterization of Bernie Sanders' stance on nuclear, because his website says that his policy would be to not license any new nuclear plants. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you got to read between the lines a little bit. That is crafted to you know, not give too much ammunition to, you know, the opposition. Bernie Sanders says he wants to phase out nuclear power as quickly as possible. He said he wants 100% renewable energy by 2030. So do the math. That means phasing out all nuclear by 2030. He says that nuclear waste is a huge problem. It isn't. That we should not be producing any more nuclear waste. The world doesn't need any more nuclear waste. So it's pretty clear what he wants and where he stands, even though his carefully crafted, you know, written policy on the website may be, you know, more politically astute. He clearly wants to completely phase out nuclear as quickly as possible.
It's a very outdated way of looking at it and thinking about it.
Yeah. But anyway, I know he's not in charge. I'm just saying that's the political spectrum that we have. And that's definitely one extreme end, but it's not, you know, that out of the mainstream on that side of the political equation at all.
I want to live in a world where I never feel like I want to say to a politician, "What the fuck do you know?" and I say that to myself every goddamn day I read news articles. I say that to myself, and it blows my mind that someone like, you know, good or bad, you know, we have this spectrum in the United States. We have a spectrum of politicians with varying degrees of beliefs, right? Duh, that's obvious. I'm just setting the stage here. But all along that spectrum, they're full of shit. There's so many politicians that are completely full of misinformation. Why? I mean, what's Bernie Sanders' motivation to be anti-nuke? Why? Is it just because voters want?
I think he's sincere. I just think he's an ideologue. I just think.
But then you're just really coming down to if he's not doing it for manipulation or for votes or for money, then he's doing it because he's totally misinformed.
Yeah, I wouldn't say totally. I think he's emphasizing certain bits of information. I think he's misinformed about the issues of surrounding nuclear waste, and I think that he's glossing over again, it's all risk versus benefit, right? And the problem is, first of all, very few people think straight. Very few people think in a strictly logical way. In my experience, if you look at psychological studies, everyone has biases in how we think, right? This is like half of what this
is what we do. It's what we talk about all the time.
So and one of the cognitive biases that we're all susceptible to is oversimplification. We each have simplistic narratives that don't capture all the nuance of reality, and those narratives tend to fall along certain themes that are emotionally appealing to different personality types. This is all well-established psychological research. And so if you fall on that end of the political spectrum, there are certain narratives that touch you emotionally, and you don't like corporations, you don't like, and you do like things that sound natural and whatever. And so, that end of the political spectrum, people are anti-GMO because it touches them in all of their ideological erogenous zones, right?
Yep.
And on the, they like being anti-corporate. They totally believe that corporations are trying to screw the world over, and they don't like patents, and all of these things, and they don't like things that are not natural, and it's, whatever. And then on the other end of the spectrum, they think that the government shouldn't have power, and, and that, that the free market should be totally in charge, whatever. So those are the narratives, and then people tend to operate within their pre-existing narratives.
Yep.
And it's very hard to get out of them, to get out of all narratives, except for the critical thinking narrative of neuropsychological humility. That should be the overriding narrative.
That is why when you study critical thinking long enough, and you develop, if you do force yourself to be humble and to develop the humility, you obtain a level where you can really very well, not completely, but you can do an excellent job of divorcing your emotions from your position. I just had an argument with someone, share of information, I don't even know what the difference is anymore, on Facebook, where he came at me with a complete assessment of my position.
He told you what you're thinking?
Told me exactly what my position is,
yeah,
my feelings
great.
about liberals and Democrats. I'm like, you don't have a clue about what I think about Democrats. I don't talk about my feelings about Democrats. He's
taking the template, Jay, and throwing it onto you, and then describing the template, and then that's it.
Exactly.
It's a cardboard straw man boogeyman, right? That's typically, they're just pigeonholing you. Again, it's that desire for simplicity. You don't have to confront the flaws in your own position if you perceive everyone who disagrees with you as this simplistic, cardboard, boogeyman kind of position. It's a way of insulating yourself from nuance, from, from all of that, from self-exploration, from the fact that no position's perfect. Every position involves some trade-offs. That's the other thing. People don't like that, they want all the ducks to be in a row, right? They want all the arrows pointing in the same direction. Once they pick a side, then everything's better about that side. It's like, no, sometimes you might say, I'm in favor of X, but it's not perfect. And yes, I acknowledge there are downsides to it. Yes, there are downsides to nuclear. I'm not saying it's perfect. Nothing's perfect. There are downsides to renewables. There are downsides to everything.
There's always trade-offs. How often do we talk about risk-benefit in all sorts of things?
I know. That's the thing.
Arch is perfect.
But that's why, though, it's so much better to not belong emotionally to a political party, or don't belong to a fan club.
It adds a level of tribalism to the whole problem. So we have enough problem with cognitive biases without doubling down on our tribalism. I agree. And I think that's, I think a lot of the big problems in the U.S. right now politically, we talk about being polarized. That's what we're talking about. It's not only are people in ideological corners, they're in tribal corners, which supersede the ideological corners, right? It's like they'll flip on a dime ideologically if their tribe says to. That was the thing that was so amazing to me in the last few years.
Oh yeah,
right. I tended to see people as ideological, and I still think that's true. But it's like, actually, their tribalism completely trumped ideological, biases.
Remarkable.
I had no idea.
It's a good takeaway.
How my critical thinking training and my dedication to the humility part of it in particular, I had no idea how much it was going to serve me at this stage in my life.
Yeah.
Like this election and this presidency, I realized, my God, I am so lucky that I am not bogged down with being emotionally tied to any of these parties, any of these people. Like I make my decisions completely based on what the science says. Almost every decision when it comes to politics is how they're going to spend money, right? It's all about spending money. The government is about spending money. What do you want to spend money on? You want to spend money on, weapons to protect ourselves? Do you want to spend money on education? Do you want to spend
it? Yeah.
Right. That's a huge part of it. And I look at it and I'm like, opinions are worthless. It's all about what proves out with the science. That's it. My decisions are actually made for me by the people doing the research.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, because the layer that you can't get rid of in politics is value judgment.
Value judgment,
right?
And the science can't tell you what to value.
But it can only inform it. right?
You can inform it,
Give
right?
you
So
information
because
but-
you get those trade-offs. Like, well, what's more important to you? Is liberty more important, or is protecting certain interests more important? How much liberty are you willing to surrender for security? There's no right or wrong answer to that. That's partly a judgment call of what you value more. What's more important? Again, like liberty or egalitarianism. Is it more important for people to be free or to be equal? It's great when we could do both at the same time, but what happens when they come into conflict?
But Steve, we have, excuse me, we have wonderful layers in our society where we have science, and then we have people who can look at the science and philosophically educate us on, all the different parameters and all the different ways that can influence us. The fact that what I'm saying is the information, for Christ's sake, it's there.
I know we're not even close to evidence-based government. I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm saying even when we get there, there's still going to be a lot to argue about in terms of, again, like the abortion debate is a great one. What's more important, the sanctity of life or a woman's right to choose? They're both really important.
Yeah, of course.
And
look, that is complicated.
Where do you slice and dice the lines of when does the fetus's rights outweigh the mother's rights? At what point is it viability? Is it consent? Whatever. I'm not taking a position on the show. I'm just saying, yeah, you can argue about that. You can argue about where exactly the nuance of how to balance those things. Absolutely. That's what we should be doing. I wish that our political discourse was about how do we best achieve our common grounds, and then how do we compromise on the things that are where there's differences of values, and so that nobody gets exactly what they want, but everybody gets some of what they want, right? That's what politics is all about. But we're not even there. We're arguing about reality. We're arguing about facts.
I mean, Steve, come on.
Lost. Democracy can't function if we're arguing about facts.
Your intellectual and emotional response to hearing Pence, that complete chucklehead, screw up the science over and over again, and then say Trump is following the science. Please give me a punch in the face when I hear that. It's like, give me a break. I don't want to hear this bullshit anymore. We know better. Yeah. God damn it, we know better.
So we're
letting these idiots, we're letting idiotic people lie to people who don't do the research and don't care to know what the truth is. And we just sit back and get that moron off of TV. You are absolutely verifiably full of shit. Just walk these assholes off TV, please. And put people up there that actually give a shit.
Yeah, but it's the culture, Jay. It's not. They are just a manifestation of the culture. They also reinforce it and drive it. I'm not letting them off the hook.
I know, you're right. I know.
It's not like if you take him away, everything will be great. No, how about the 40% of the people who put him there?
I know.
The point is
frustrated as shit, man.
Because of the tribalism, and because of the influence of social media and how easy it is to troll and all this stuff, is that we are living in an age where rather than dealing with the facts, people are just manufacturing a false reality, and then they're trying to gaslight everybody else into thinking that their made-up reality is at least as good as any other one. At least they're all equal. Everything is opinion. There's no experts. There's no objective facts. It's all opinion. So you might as well go with your tribe's opinion, right? That's
exactly.
And they're there. They're there.
And it's worsened because we are a two-party country. We have no parliament. We have no minor parties versus the major parties, right? There's very little spectrum there.
I've often fantasized about what would it be like if there was a moderate, pretty, fact-based party in the middle, and even if there were a small minority, but if neither side could get a majority without them, it would force either side to deal with reality in order to get anything done.
Someday, we go, oh man, how can we do that?
That's kind of risky too. But hey, why don't we play a game?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 603. Sorry.
I'm always up for a game.
Yes, ranked choice voting is a good idea.
Yeah. I just can't wait. I'll say this again, and then we can transition because we've just signaled Ian that the game is gonna start soon.
Yes, we did.
I just look forward to the day where I don't have to think about whoever the goddamn president is 20 times a day. It used to be once a month. Yeah. I had to actually really tune in and hear what's going on. I just want that luxury to come back where I don't have to be having a president sit on my shoulders every goddamn day. All right, I said it.
All right. So here is the link for everybody. It should be pinned for anybody who doesn't have it. It's darkenergy.games. Please go there. There should be a
Gonna give us a
video.
link again, Ian?
Oh yeah, I'll
Special
send you
link?
the special link.
Super special.
Special link.
Special link.
Special link.
Also, in the
Special link
future,
for
everybody,
you.
you can go there early because I usually set it up early, and then there's the YouTube video there, so you can watch on the page itself. Let me send you the special.
All right
link.
then.
Don't hit the synchronize button early. Don't do that.
Do not hit the synchronize button. Wait
Wait, I haven't. Wait, hold on. I get this.
Patience.
for me.
I have a
please.
question for the audience while we're prepping this. Who would you rather have be president, Bob or Steve?
Ooh.
That's. Well,
Evan,
well,
you never know. You never know.
Yes, you do.
Wow.
Never
that's
gonna
like
happen.
that's not a. That can be an awkward thing to answer, Jay.
No,
No?
the answers are coming in. Somebody answered Halloween day off.
Halloween day off.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh,
Happy
please
there's
do
a-
not put
Oh, yeah.
my name in that
There's
list. You don't
Happy
want
there's
me
a-
to
All right,
be
Bob.
president.
Few Bobs
I
in
would
that
fuck
list.
this country up in 3 weeks.
Bob, give it-
I would totally bankrupt this country.
Bob has 10 planks in his platform. 7 of them are Halloween related.
I'll be.
No, there'd be a lot of science related shit in there, Evan. A lot.
Thank goodness.
$50 billion for fusion and AI research and nanotech.
Don't, Steve.
Only 50
Pretty
billion.
even.
Steve,
Okay.
don't
That's
give me
fired.
the
That's
presidency.
this
You're
year.
fired.
I would want to use it for good. Don't tempt me.
Don't
I know.
tempt me, Frodo.
Okay. It's pretty even, I would say. Here's a question to bide the time while we're waiting for
Okay.
people. It says,
Oh, I need my link.
if you had to choose a sci-fi dystopia in which to live and maybe a hero in it, which one would
Dystopia.
you choose? Yes,
A sci-fi dystopia?
dystopia.
Oh, boy.
You know,
I
like
had to
Which
wait,
one?
if you had to live in a sci-fi dystopia, what would
Yeah.
it be?
like which one would you choose?
Huh.
Like maybe from movies. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
Elysium, Dark City. I don't know, any of those.
Well, Dark City's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Silent Hill. That's
Other than the one we're living in currently.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Yeah.
Bobaverse.
Ah, nice.
That's a real thing.
It's
How about Idiocracy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We're only a year and a half away from that as it is, so it wouldn't be that jarring.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really hard one. I mean, I just can't comprehend having to make that decision because I don't know of a tolerable.
I'd like a menu to select from so I could kind of see what I'd have to choose. You know,
I mean,
it's
okay.
like-
So how about is there one where we lost all our technology because of war and all that, but then people it became an agrarian culture again?
Yes. Well, it was a TV show.
What
It
was
called
Dune?
Revolution or something. It was,
Yeah.
but it was like, I don't want to give away it, but essentially, no electricity didn't work anymore or something.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
That was
That,
like
that might
a-
be okay. But I
know,
wouldn't
right?
mind also being in a universe that needed warriors, like rebels to fight against the oppressors, because I would just become one of
Hunger
them
Games, then.
instantaneously.
Altered Carbon's a good one. If you got money.
Yeah. They're all good if you have money.
Yeah. All right, let's do this.
All right, we're gonna start. Okay, actually, we're gonna synchronize real quick. So when I say click, everybody click. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Click.
0 seconds. Yes. Not
I missed
that
it.
it matters.
I
but
missed it. I'm 2 seconds off.
Just a 2
And this is
seconds.
just a call for mods and anyone in the live stream Discord chat to please ask questions and pin them.
The Mod Squad.
All right, getting some time behind. There's 5 questions, I believe, just so everybody knows.
Yes.
Star Wars is definitely a dystopia, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, the
Ev.
Empire is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right. It never works right? There's always something
Yeah.
wrong.
there's
Even
always-
in the best of times,
The Jedi
something's
are
always
broken.
wrong.
The Jedi are
yeah,
broken.
the Jedi are broken, and the dark side is omnipresent.
Yeah.
It just has heaves and
It's a false dichotomy. That's the problem. The whole
Yeah.
system is based upon a false dichotomy.
damn you, Lucas.
All right. Where are we?
I think we got most people here. Anybody, if it didn't work for you, just follow along with the page rather than the live stream. It'll be desynced for you. All righty. And
are you
away we go.
Yes.
Your body has how many more bacterial cells than human cells? 10 times more, 20 times more, 30 times more, 40 times more.
Steve's thinking about it. I see that Steve has selected one
How can you
Are
see
you able
that?
to?
because I can see the blue light reflecting in your glasses.
Oh wait,
you
which
can
one did he
cheat off
choose?
my
Let's
glasses.
see.
That's. I gotta do this.
Hello. Now you have to
it.
speak with a British accent. Hello, Governor.
I would have been embarrassed if I missed this one because I've read about it multiple times.
But think about that. This is really, it's so unbelievable. Like
Yeah,
you
but
have
they're
10.
smaller.
Oh, I know that. But the point is, though, you have like, we are completely infested with bacteria.
Does that include our germ cloud? Or is
Infested
it
is
like
the
inside
wrong
the
word,
body?
Jay.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
This is the
You're
this is like a
colonized. It's a
I mean-
symbiotic relationship.
right.
Absolutely.
We
Oh, yeah.
get some good stuff. They get some good stuff.
As long as they don't start talking to you.
We couldn't
All right,
digest some
next
food
one.
if it weren't for them. All right. What
Next
do we
one.
got?
What answer below is not the name of a type of cloud? Cumulonimbus,
Ooh, boy.
cirrocumulus, nimbostratus, altostratus.
Wait
a minute.
I was looking
It
up.
can't be that.
I was looking up, information about clouds, trying to find some fun facts, and I realized, look at these names. Look at the names of these clouds. Like they
The second choice.
Yeah, I got it.
they sound a lot alike.
God damn it.
Yeah, I got it right. I love clouds. I love clouds.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They're really
Oh my
amazing.
gosh, there's so many cool.
Cumulonimbus, from Latin cumulus, heaped, and nimbus, rainstorm, is a dense, towering, vertical cloud forming from water vapor carried by powerful upward air currents. If observed during a storm, these clouds may be referred to as thunderheads.
They're the
Almost
big,
picked that one.
oppressive-looking bad boys. And the next one.
How many teeth does an adult human have?
Depends what state they're from.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and to clarify, how many teeth?
28, 26, 24.
Steve, would you say it's correct to say on average, or is there really just a correct number of teeth?
Well, there's a correct number for a full set of teeth.
A full set. Okay,
Yeah.
a full set of teeth then.
Shoot, is it this or this? I think it's this. Dang. Yeah.
Damn.
Okay.
My second choice again. Eh.
One of the people on the chat said that alto stratus is a cloud, and I didn't find it. I looked it up. I made the word up.
Didn't
So-
say. Yeah.
I think that was a question mark.
it sounded more like a musical word.
Oh.
than
Jay,
it's cloud word to me.
No, you're right. It is a cloud.
If
I
it is,
never heard
Oh,
of
it's-
cirrocumulus. I
It's a
never.
middle altitude cloud
Yeah, I
genus
thought I
belonging
recognized
to
that
the
one.
stratoform.
well, then my mistake. I made it up. I didn't.
But I got it
Oh,
right.
so I got it
You can't
right
have it
then.
back.
Okay. Sorry.
How do mushrooms propagate?
How do mushrooms propagate? Small filaments under the ground, splitting into two. 3 is spores, 4 is
Oh,
seeds.
is this a trick question? It's shoot.
Ooh, Jay, you got called out by a meteorologist.
I know. It figures that I make up a cloud name
Yeah.
and it's a real cloud. Maybe there's an infinite number of names for clouds. Who the hell knows?
Maybe they
There
make
is
up
there, there is there's lots of names for clouds.
So,
We-
Jay,
we-
some
more than the
mushrooms
4 we learned
do
about.
propagate from runners under the ground. That was a bad option to be wrong.
Uh-huh.
I knew spores are right, but I'm like, it's like, I guess you could say it's not small filaments, it's big filaments. Like sometimes mushrooms are
Well, there
just
you
the
go.
fruiting part of a massive underground plant.
I looked it up and I searched for it 3
Yeah.
times
All right.
because I actually wanted. I know that mushrooms. All right. Well, hey,
mycelium spreads. Is that what somebody said?
I
think that's one. The display on a computer screen is calibrated on an RGB scale. What do the letters R, G, and B stand for? Regular grain, blank screen, ranging glass buffer, reading glaze backlit, red, green, blue.
Wow, this is going to be the first one
The
where
glazing.
I got all 5 of them correct. Well,
Wow, man.
but even with
Except for the cheating one.
except for the cheating one. But I got 5 green boxes. Wow,
that's awesome.
that is
that's
good.
awesome.
That's damn good. It's a good day.
I would have had 5 if Jay didn't screw me out of that.
I love those clouds
I
that
don't
look
know.
like
It looks
waves.
like the audience is disagreeing with you, Steve. I don't know, man.
On what?
Everything you said tonight. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
What are those things called? The like asperatus clouds? Are those the ones I'm thinking of? Undulated.
Ian, while we're waiting, you've been a father for what, 6 weeks?
Yeah, like coming on 7 weeks.
How you doing, man?
That's cool. It's pretty dope. She's going through her like 6 week growth spurt, so she's real hungry. She doesn't really sleep very easily, but she just wants to snuggle up, which is cool.
That's awesome.
And that's where she sleeps. She won't sleep in her bassinet. But it's pretty dope. I don't know. It's not, I'm sure it gets crazier with like different ways because like when they start being, fully actualized in some sense and aware. Right now she's just a little potato, but
just they say this is what they say, and when you get when your child is 4 or 5, you'll say it too. Just enjoy every type of child that this child becomes, like every stage.
Jay, let me read you something, Jay.
Go ahead, Steve.
While mushrooms might be the most familiar part of a fungus, most of their bodies are made up of a mass of thin threads known as mycelium.
Yes.
We now know that these threads act as a kind of underground internet linking the roots of different plants.
Yeah, but that's not how they reproduce.
You said propagate. I mean, I'm just saying.
I understood that to be reproduced.
Look, I watch Star Trek. I know what mycelium is, okay?
It was a problematic wrong answer because it could have been taken that way. But anyway, I said spores because spores was obviously correct.
My question to you is, did we learn?
Yes,
we learned.
Thank you for learning.
Babylon 5.
That was an inside joke. That was from
Babylon 5. Man.
Babylon 5. Yep. So everybody did good tonight. Let's see who did the best. A world citizen got 100. Whoever that is.
Citizen of the world.
Excellent job. So I've got to talk to Frank, the person who is programming the game that we play. I want a leaderboard. I want people to log in, and I want a leaderboard. I want it to remember the scores.
A cumulative score?
Yes, I want it.
Cumulative.
Nimbus, yes.
Cumulative.
My favorite cloud is lenticular.
Mine is asperatus.
They look like UFOs. They've actually
those
been
are
mistaken
cool.
for UFOs.
The asperatus clouds look like these like sheets of fabric in the sky. They're so cool. And you rarely see them in Connecticut. But I have caught them on occasion. I always try to shoot a photograph whenever I can when I see them.
Guys, I have a question for you.
Yeah, altostratus is a cloud, Jay. You didn't just type that in?
I did. Look, I was rushed.
Altostratus is a middle altitude cloud genus belonging to the stratiform physical category, categorized by a generally uniform gray to bluish green sheet or layer.
It's also a violin.
And I sit here humbled before you and everyone. I made up a name that existed because...
Somebody says Altostratus has a Wikipedia article.
it has a Twitter account, in fact.
I didn't think that the word I made up would act, like what are the chances?
So you didn't search on the word.
I thought I did. If I didn't, I didn't.
Yeah.
Jay had a busy day. Cut him some
slack. Yeah, I know. Somebody said it's been a hard week for Jay. You're right. And it's
I thought B natural was B sharp. So I'm right there with you, Jay.
I'll guarantee you though that you will not forget that one of the types of clouds is now alto status.
Alto sax, yes.
Yeah.
You're going to be taking a test or talking to someone, and it's going to come up, and you're going to have the answer, and you will silently thank me for screwing this up.
Oh God.
Should we go on to questions?
Yes,
let's do some questions. Stop being an amateur. You're on the internet.
I'm on the internet right now.
I'm going to ask me a question. This is from...
Okay.
I'm going to ask me a question.
Cody was talking... Oh, yeah. What are your favorite horror books for this time of year?
Ooh.
I actually wrote down some... There are some books that I listen to every October. They include Stephen King's short stories. He's got so many really good ones. I love short horror stories. Let's see. Scott Sigler, his color books. Bones are white, Blood is red. He's got like 3 of them. They're really good. World War Z, fantastic zombie story. Listen, all audio, definitely all audio. The Greatest Horror Stories of the 20th Century, fantastic book. Short stories again. Midnight Mass, it was just vampires. Some of the best vampire stories I've ever heard. And The Girl with All the Gifts. Come on, fantastic. Kind of like a zombie movie story, but not really. But it was wonderful. The narrator, epic. So those are some of the ones that I listen to over and over every October. But unfortunately, since I'm not driving much this October, I barely listened to anything. Except I'm listening to the Bobaverse. I just can't not listen to this new Bobaverse book.
My favorite thing about Halloween is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, Jay,
Mm-hmm.
have you watched it yet?
I watched it last year. Yeah.
Well, let's watch it. Let's get
Yeah, I'll
together
do it,
and watch it in 4K. 4 freaking K. We're watching it, right?
I'm in.
My
right,
favorite
good.
horror story, which I've been reading now almost constantly, is the Daily News.
Yeah.
It's too scary. That's
One might
too
say we're
scary.
living it. It's
you
called
want-
American Horror Story. I
American
think.
Horror
Yeah.
Story, yeah.
In my opinion, the best monster movie of all time is John Carpenter's The Thing. If you haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah.
it, watch it.
Classic. Absolute classic.
Fantastic movie. One of the best written scripts I've ever read.
If you're talking movies, Cabin in the Woods,
Cabin in the Woods is
it's
Epic.
so fantastic that it makes you think. It puts all other horror movies in a completely different context. Like, whoa. I won't say any more about it, but it's wonderful, wonderful movie.
A couple people in the chat were asking about AQ6 and whether or not you're gonna do
Yes.
Lovecraft Country and any
yeah,
other.
it's all getting queued up. You know, again, our studio's a mess right now, and you know, we obviously had the pandemic. We did
straight
some
up-
episodes on Zoom, and they were fine, but you know, just not the same thing.
Yeah, we didn't feel like it had the right level of the right quality level with the Zoom stuff.
There's so much backlog though. We're going to start pounding through it.
Oh, yeah,
So-
there's a
Yeah,
lot.
but you know, let me drop this. I think we said this a couple of times. We went to Weta last November, December of last year, and we shot a documentary at Weta. And I'm finishing the editing right now. I mean, we could, you know, I don't want to say when it's going to drop.
Don't say when.
There's quite a while, quite a lot of work left to be done, but it's all like the big brushstrokes are done.
Yeah.
And I think it's
There's a
coming out
first draft.
fantastic.
Let's say that. There's actually a second draft, but that's pretty far. But we might need to do some in studio work, you know, to polish it off. We're still talking about exactly how to put those finishing touches on, but it's going to be good. Yeah. So that's one major project that AQ6 is doing, the Weta documentary. But yeah, absolutely, we're going to be talking about, and you know, anything you'd want us to talk about is probably on our list.
So we have a question from Discord. What country is closest to a science-based government?
I think Wakanda.
Gosh.
That's a freaking awesome question.
How do
only
we
thing
know
that-
this? I mean, how do you even really know for sure?
I mean, yeah, this is good. This is a guess. This is not an answer. It's a guess, but I would think maybe Norway, because
Why
they just
Norway?
seem to be, well, because they're
Let's see, science-based.
they're
countries.
transitioning to almost all electric cars. Like they're really pushing renewables, and
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, a couple of votes for New Zealand down there. New Zealand's pretty ahead of the curve. I have to admit that.
Germany.
yeah. New Zealand is everything about New Zealand is amazing.
Yeah,
I love that country. If I had to move anywhere, I would go there.
yeah.
If things go bad next month, we just might.
If I had to pick a country other than the United States to live in, I would go to New Zealand.
But I guess it depends. Do we get our own handmaids?
Wow.
That's where that's where we're headed. Look at our new justice candidate. Literally was a handmaid. I know it didn't mean exactly the
What?
same thing, but yeah, she's a member of a religious organization where she had the title handmaid, and which is actually more of like an aunt position than a handmaid position, if you're going to make an analogy to The Handmaid's Tale, but like really, really dramatically paternalistic,
Wow.
group. But
Speaking of, when is that show coming back? It's been like 5 years. It seems like
Which-
it has
show?
I don't know.
Oh,
The
Handmaid's Tale.
Tale.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
going on with that? It seems like forever. I know we had a pandemic, but come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. You say
A
that,
lot of
Bob,
shows are on
but
hiatus.
it doesn't mean anything to me because I have so little time to entertain myself. Like I don't watch TV anymore. It's ridiculous. Fuck this pandemic. That's where I'm at. All right, guys, let's
What?
let's
Okay.
cut it because I have
I
to
got
go eat
lasagna
or I'm
waiting
going to
for me.
pass out.
Yeah, I got lasagna waiting for me.
Oh my God, guys, I love all four of you. Be safe.
Likewise.
Be very, very safe because unfortunately, we have imminent violence in the United States because of this election. It's going to happen.
We've already had an attempt to kidnap one of our governors.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, we had extremists try to kidnap one of our governors to start a civil war.
Yeah.
Thank goodness law enforcement stepped in on that one.
They
Hopefully
were going to try
be-
her.
that'll
they were
be
gonna put her on
it,
trial.
We got to be on the lookout, man. We got to be.
Yeah,
on
the
it.
FBI.
Yeah, let's make an
you know-
example out of that and make sure that stops now.
Yeah. Yeah, what do I say, guys? Do something nice for someone that's in your life that you love. If we all did one nice thing, the world would be a tiny bit of a happier place. It's the thing that we can do to make the world a better place, and it's easy. Just do something for someone.
And if you got to commit a crime, don't talk about it on Facebook.
And make sure. There's all. If you're going to commit a crime, all right. Never mind. Okay.
I gave Bob three or more hours of my precious free time this week to make sound effects for him for his haunt. I didn't want to do it. I did it out of love.
Jay, do they all
Jay.
go?
Appreciate it, bro.
Do they all sound like jerky boy noises?
No. Oh my God! I'm so scared. No, I had to do something for Bob that I don't think I'll ever recover from. They have a stuffed animal dollhouse room that's like a haunted room that's going to be
Evil
like one of the
dollhouse.
dolls is possessed.
Oh no, Bob,
All of
that's
them are.
awesome.
They picked that freaking song, the Barbie. I live in a Barbie world, and
my
that
God.
song. Oh my God! So I had to make that sound evil.
That's not hard.
He did a great job.
You play it normal.
It is
speed?
hard. It was really hard. I had to like find the separate tracks, and I had to.
Oh, gosh.
It was a pain in the
Make
ass.
it minor.
But
Make it
Right.
transpose it into a minor key.
yeah, Ian, I'll send it to you if you're curious because it actually came out pretty good. But the thing is, I had to listen to that song
For 2 hours.
3 goddamn hours,
3
2
hours
to
now?
3 hours. Oh my God, Bob.
Jay, could I play it?
Yeah, play a little bit of it.
We'll get.
You hear it?
How much can you hear it? How could? No,
It's most of it is manipulated.
they don't have ads on it anyway. It's fine.
Can't hear it, Bob.
Oh, you don't have. You need to
there
put
you have a
on
filter
original
on.
audio.
Yeah.
No,
Alright, fuck it.
we'll
It's creepy
send
as
it.
hell.
We'll post it in Discord.
It's creepy as hell.
Speaking of which, if you can, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/skepticsguide.
Yes.
Yeah,
please
did
do.
we say it on the show this week, but January 23rd, we are doing the 12-hour show. Save the
Yeah,
date.
mark
You
it.
guys heard it was
12
January 23rd.
hours.
Mark it
12
down.
hours.
That's right.
Probably
And somebody
something
wants us
like
to-
11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
That's not in stone yet, but January 23rd is in stone for the 12-hour show.
And Evan and I will be the only ones not to fall asleep.
It's
Yeah,
only 12
Bob.
hours. Come on, we'll be fine.
Right
Yeah,
there.
And we may play
can do it.
games.
I'll
We
still
may
fall
have
asleep.
the SGU play games, everybody. Maybe some
Yeah.
horror games.
Oh,
Yeah,
games
we'll do
will
an
be
epic.
played.
Jay, we have to get an epic game up and running for that.
All right, well, let's start. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Send us
Task
your,
me with
send us
trivia.
your
I'll send
recommendations.
you
What do you
tons
want
of
to see us
trivia.
do over that 12-hour show?
All right, guys, have a great night. Everybody have a great long weekend. If you
Enjoy the
have a
weekend.
holiday coming up, and see you next week.
Stay
And
safe.
Download the show
Ooh,
tomorrow.
Hand sanitizer, masks.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Stay
Oh
safe.
my God.
The weekend!
Oh
Safe.
my God.
It's
Good-
very, very scary.
Ian,
Skeptics and more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.